Hey everyone, Felix from Nintendo Life here, and today we're here to review Lil Gator game for the Nintendo Switch. Personally, this game had piqued my interest ever since I saw the first trailer, and after playing it, I can safely assure that everyone who just likes a nice chill game and wants to feel like a child again, this is the game just for you. This review was written by the stupendous Brett Postner-Ferdman and converted into video by me. There's something to be said for trying to recapture one's childhood. Nostalgia is, and always has been, a popular tool employed by game designers, and it is something that many modern games use to try and recapture that childhood wonder. And yet, for the first time in recent memory, a new release has tried a different approach, relying less on nostalgia and instead on imitating the childlike power of imagination. This game is not just a wonderfully charming game, but an experience that will bring you back to an era you likely haven't revisited in a long time. You follow the story of a young Gator and his older sister. As young kids, the siblings spend their days playing in the nature and using their imagination to create video game-inspired adventures. However, as they begin to grow up, Big Sis begins to spend more time working on schoolwork and less time playing adventures with her brother. Becoming frustrated with Big Sis, who's taking ages to complete her work, Lil Gator decides to team up with his friends to create the biggest adventure yet, in hopes of getting her to join in. Throughout Lil Gator game, there is like this overarching theme of embracing fun no matter one's age. It is a lesson that should resonate with many people and is exemplary of the game's deep undertones and great writing despite their outwardly cute aesthetic. One of the more impressive features is the presentation. The autumn forest cel-shaded visuals look wonderful on Switch, and the game generally runs really well. Keeping with the childish theme, all the equipment and items that Lil Gator collects on his quest are either handmade crafts or household objects. For instance, instead of expertly crafted shields from a blacksmith, you will instead collect fancy dishware and skateboards to use. And it's not just the equipment you collect, as the same detail has gone into the world design and enemies. Despite technically being enemies, in reality, these are simply immobile cardboard cutouts, decorated to look like slimes and skeletons. It really feels as that everything you find in your adventure is meticulously designed to be as close to something a child would use in tandem with their imagination. At its core, this game is a quest-focused collectathon. Your primary goal is to craft the highest quality adventure you can for you and your sister. And to do that, you must solve dozens of animals' tasks in order to convince them to join you in your, well, town, which is really just a playground. But we did say that this was about using your imagination, because it's not only the Lil Gator, you as well have to try and immerse you into this adventure. These tasks can range from defeating enemies, collecting junk, to helping grow a seed or turning on water pipes. The more animals you recruit, the more you can upgrade your town. And in addition to recruiting residents, completing quests will grant you tangible rewards as well. More often than not, you will be rewarded with confetti, the game's primary currency. But sometimes you will also get new equipment for your adventure. These can range from new hats and swords to tools such as throwable rocks that you can skip on the water and ninja stars. There are dozens of equipment pieces for you to unlock, so no matter what quest you decide to pursue, there's always a reward at the end to make it feel worth it. Despite the game's collectathon focus, the game draws heavily on notable modern games. The most apparent comparison are to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, from shield surfing to the donut-shaped stamina wheel, and even a glider style of the Lynx. Gator game is clearly drawing inspiration from one of the Switch's biggest and best titles. It also features several other references and homages to various game series, such as an Ace Attorney-style cold case. Because the game focuses so much on Lil Gator's imagination, drawing from these notable video game series that he is likely to have played for countless hours makes sense in the context of the world and only adds to the emotional realism the game is shooting for. But while Lil Gator game does a lot of right, there are some small areas that unfortunately don't quite hit the mark. Most notably, the game can feel quite directionless at times. There is no minimap or compass, nor is there quest list to keep track of your current tasks, though sometimes one does pop up briefly during the main quests. This can sometimes feel like you're looking for a needle in a haystack, especially if you decide to take a break and return to the game later. Thankfully though, the game's main island is not too large, so you can easily wander around and eventually find your destination, but having some sort of journal would have made this adventure much smoother. In addition to the progression issues, Lil Gator game also suffers from some pacing issues in the writing. While for the most part the game's dialogue is charming, there are sometimes instances where the conversations between characters can feel like they drag on for a bit too long. But despite all of that, there are few games out there that successfully captured childlike wonder and imagination better than Lil Gator game. This game is up there with the best indie games released this year, and comes with a recommendation for anyone remotely interested in feeling like a kid again. We here at Nintendo Life give Lil Gator game on the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. And now with the review done, it's time for Felix's personal thoughts. Now, I've seen people out there say that they don't like the art style, and luckily you can give it a short hike makeover. In settings, there's a toggle that lets you set a pixel filter. I actually really like how this looks, as it felt the normal visuals were a bit rough, but this filter smoothed out the problems I had with it, so definitely give that a go if the art style isn't to your liking. And speaking of a short hike, this game definitely takes inspiration from the art style, looking almost identical, just scaled up, and that's a good thing because a short hike looks absolutely phenomenal. It even plays similarly too, with having a giant island to explore and do as you please. I actually really like the directionless feeling, and while a map and quest log would have been helpful, some of my favorite moments were when you were looking for a big quest and then instead come across villagers needing my help, cardboards that needed thrashing, and just finding some beautiful vistas. But if we have to talk about maybe my favorite part of this game, it's the writing. My god, I love this. It feels like it's written by a very young soul, and if not, they've done a really good job in replicating how younger folks might talk. It's really nice for people like me who might not be the best at English, since normally games tend to use very big and complicated words, but this was just down my alley. Super cute and easily digestible for everyone, it's, well, just simply splendid. And if I have to be honest, this might be one of my favorite games I've played this year. Just something about that you have to use your imagination to play. I don't do this very often anymore, but when you get into the mindset with the right people, it can be some of the most fun you'll ever have. If you like this video, why don't you check out our website nintendolife.com, where you can find this review and many others in written form. And don't forget to use your imagination and press that subscribe button. Stay safe, play this wonderful little game, and I'll see you in the next one. Felix from Nintendo Life, out.